It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Just acknowledge it. Knowledge with no scholarships. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. Breaking everything down. Tech to politics. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. We don't tell you what you want. We just give you what you need. It's Topic Thunder. It's Topic Thunder. News, brews, and views from these Chi-Town streets. Topic Thunder.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Topic Thunder. It is the Internet Saloon in which we welcome you all to kind of belly up to the bar. And then myself, Brooks, and then Ben, we kind of serve up all the kind of conversation and all the conversation you can possibly drink in about an hour and 20 minutes.
25 to 30 minutes, yeah.
When we're good, it's like under on hour 20, and we're like, yes.
In and out, boom, let's go eat.
Yeah, exactly. Post-show secrets revealed. The opening moments of Topic Thunder, ladies and gentlemen. We get hungry. So there could be like a behavioral chart of like maybe we get grumpier as the show goes on and more like angry men as we become more and more hungry. I digress. Welcome to the last show of the year, folks. Because
I didn't even think about that until you just said that. But yeah.
Well, we're gonna take next week off. I'm just gonna let everybody know right now. We're gonna give the staff the day off and let everybody just kind of
cool
without right. Like everybody gets the day off. So this will be the last show of the year. It's the last show before Christmas. So and today's the solstice too, which is probably a more important thing to talk about as opposed to a flying fat man delivering presents and possibly across the world, right? But celebrate the astrological alignment of our planet to the sun, and specific to the little tilt that our planet is on and the way that affects our globe, the way it spins around. That's why this is the legitimate shortest day of the year if you live in this hemisphere. It's the longest day of the year if you live in the southern hemisphere because of that weird ass tilt that our planet's on. Well, I mean, I don't want to upset the scientific community or anything, Ben, but I think it's pretty well accepted that some crazy shit happened in our solar system billions of years ago. And
knocked us off our axis just a smidge,
just a wee little bit, you know. The same event that formed the moon put our planet on a little bit of a tilt. Again, there's actually some pretty cool YouTube models that will show you just exactly what happened. But anyway, welcome to Topic Thunder. And before we get started, I've already get started because, you know,
we always do. Like we got a pregame.
Always do. You got a pregame to get in. You got it loose. I have demands. We're the green M&Ms.
I have Whataburger Dr. Pepper tonight.
I am drinking just a plain old Kirkland's Malbec. That's it. It's just going Costco wine if you want to get really down and dirty with it.
Nice.
Nothing fancy about it.
Like,
no even
like
reason.
The equivalent. That's today's equivalent of boxed wine. Right?
Yeah, but they do that weird model where they made an agreement with like vineyards that produce.
Okay, so they do like legitimate. It's not like fast food wine.
No, they're because they've been around for a long time, right? They made these deals with these like vineyards that you would pay, you know, double the price of for their wines with the vineyard's name on it. But Costco agreed to buy whatever they weren't going to bottle, and hey, we won't put your name on it. We'll just call it Kirkland's. And we'll sell it at a discount, and that way you make money on what you're not going to bottle, and everybody's happy here, right? You're going to throw it out, we'll sell it. So yeah, maybe I'm drinking some important vineyards trash, but let's get right to it. Like, folks, we've got comments. Hey, thanks for joining us in the world's most dangerous chat zone too. We call it the Thunderdome, folks. Ben's keeping me on track tonight. I like it.
We're trying to get out of here in under an hour.
Get in, get out, because it's the last show of the year. There's office parties to be had, and folks, right?
That last day before Christmas break.
Kind of, sort
Nobody
of, but
gives a shit. But we give a shit. I got shit to talk about. I got shit to rant about this week.
Oh, then you know what? We don't even have to pay attention to any of the stories on there. Or actually, you know what, Ben? It's Christmas. Why don't you choose the stories that we have? We'll talk about it.
Ooh, whoa, that I'm not prepared for that right now.
Oh, so let me talk about Iran, because we made a promise, and we're going to keep our promise to always talk about Iran, no matter how far we have to kind of dig to find stories that are relevant to what is going on. But during the last week, and we're going off a story from our good friends at The Guardian. A film star has apparently been arrested in Iran for posting on her Instagram calling for the end to the regime, the Ayatollahs, and specifically the woman, life, freedom credo that has become basically the mantra for this movement. It's no longer just a rebellion; it's a movement. Or what comes first, movement then rebellion? But
Yes, I would say movement then rebellion.
it's a full.
It seems like the most logical way for it to.
Okay, so we're gonna call it a full blown rebellion, and her name is Tarana Aladusti, and I've heard it called Oladusti, like the way they pronounce the T. But either way, this is all again in support of and in shocking reaction to the death of Masha Amini, who again murdered by the Iranian morality police, which has not been disbanded.
Still exists.
Exists and never went away. The only thing is that it's very nice because I know a lot of locals, not local, but global celebrities. And let's Mark Rylance, Mark Ruffalo, Ken Loach, Emma Thompson, Mike Lee, Steve McQueen, Ian McKellen, David Hare, Juliet Stevenson, and American-Iranian actor Safidif Moafi have all come out and spoken against this one particular person being arrested and detained when she basically criticized the regime for the hanging of the first protester, right?
Yeah, we talked about that story last week.
We did. So she got arrested, and now it's just one more log on the fire. Like these, if you're trying to quell a rebellion, would you arrest a known celebrity who has taken a stand against the situation? And they're creating these martyrs, right?
Sure.
They're investing in chaos and violence as opposed to trying to form some semblance of an olive branch of a shared government, or the least they could do right there. I guess the religious dogma is lost on me and probably everybody else on listening too. You just don't get how you could be so rigid in a belief like that.
It is really hard for me to wrap my head around that level of commitment to a religious belief. It's totally bizarre to me.
I guess it doesn't even have to be a religion, right? It could be
anything cult. Really, any cult or anything like that.
Well, speaking of cults, guess who just might have had his whole gambit revealed? Finally getting a quick glance at the tax returns of the former guy, number 45, Mr. Trump. The tax returns aren't necessarily like the most damning things ever. It's not like not like him on tape strangling somebody or actually shooting somebody on Fifth Avenue. Right. What it shows, though, is a very interesting gap in the taxes that he paid. Specifically, I know, Ben, you brought this up on your Facebook page. A very interesting 2 years. Was it 2017 and 2018?
Dude, it is insane. This graphic that MSNBC put up that I shared it is so obvious what is going on here. Let me see if I can't pull it up here real quick. Give me just a second.
So while he's doing that, let's recap what we're talking about here. broke tradition that Mr. Trump did not give his tax returns prior to his election, as had been tradition since Richard
Forever.
Nixon. Go figure. So when he did it, it became like a big fight, right? It became the press asking him, where are the tax returns? Can we get your tax returns? And there they are. And there's probably a reason why. It's very
Come
hard.
on.
It's very difficult to get
The
Donald
next
Trump's
time-
tax returns.
The next time a conservative friend of yours wants to talk about Nancy Pelosi or Bernie Sanders having an extra house, or Nancy Pelosi making money while in office, and all these, the swamp and everybody, and Trump is not like them. Just go to my Facebook page, save this graphic, and just post this graphic with no other words. That's all you need to do. Look at this. The guy was hemorrhaging money before he became president. Hemorrhaging money.
Total income.
And then suddenly, 2 years into his presidency, he becomes he flips it. I mean, look at the difference between 17 and 18 there. He tripled his income. How? By having all of the Trump properties get paid an exorbitant amount of money to house the Secret Service and other people. And that's, oh God, it's so obvious.
Let's have a history. Let's refresher here, right? 2015 is the campaign year, right? The election happens in November of 2015, and his certification as president occurs in 2016, January 14th. I'm not sure about, like, a peaceful transition of power. Why do we even have to say that anyway? Look at the results there. When he steps into office, he was in the red annually. His total income,
negative $31 million is what he's reporting. Of course, it's probably, the losses probably aren't that big.
No,
obviously, but he's playing with the numbers so that he doesn't have to pay a lot of tax.
All right. So let's put some. I feel like Alex Jones. We're going to talk about Mr. Jones a little bit later. Let's put some context around this, right? He is currently under investigation and possible indictment for fraudulent business practices, and a lot of these situations involve him overvaluating his properties and holdings on tax returns to assume a business and operational loss, which allows him to pay less tax. So in this, again, the tax code is not written for people like us. It is rigged, is written in favor of people who make a lot more money than we could even imagine, even with the Topic Thunder salary. So it just doesn't jive in our brains exactly why we pay a third of our income, and we do it because, for whatever, and just expect everybody to kind of do and follow suit and pay their fair share. This situation, like, he's a known crook, and it's already a shiesty asshole, like Ryan Hansen says. He has been proven. Again, he's under indictment, or at least investigation, grand jury investigation, not indictment, and grand jury investigation for this very thing. If he's getting a tax break for one of his golf courses because he buried his ex-wife there. He's getting that tax break because it's a cemetery. That's what we're talking about here, right? Like, and it's allowed legally. There, it gets to a certain point. Sure, I'm going to get way off topic here, so Ben, hold me in here. But it is part of his whole deal. There's some really messed up reason why everybody knows this guy is a crook, but nobody does anything about it. No federal, local authority until now. And where are these investigations going in the first place?
Maybe nowhere. That's another problem.
Or do they get to a point where somebody knocks on a door or it leaves a little that's the level of shit we're talking about here with this guy.
Yeah, and you could see why he didn't want those tax returns getting out. Like, first of all, it shows that he was losing quite a bit of money. Although we agree that it's not as much as what is shown there, but he still wasn't a business genius before that. But the egregiousness of tripling your income while being the sitting president of the United States. It's just another one of those things that you'd say, how, if you follow this guy, you followed him because you believed he wasn't that guy. He wasn't one of those types of politicians. And here we have it. We have it in black and white. He tripled his income as a sitting president, went from negative to positive, negative 12 million to positive $24 million. And he paid nearly $1 million in taxes that year. Woohoo!
But great. Ben, he was donating his salary, so that's why
bullshit. He did not donate $24 million. Show me the receipts then.
He sure did.
Show me the receipts.
He sure did donate $24 million, but he donated it to his own charity, which is now under investigation for misappropriation of funds.
The Trump Corporation, whatever they call it. Yeah, it's the Trump Foundation for all intents and purposes.
He's donated it to himself for a tax break. First of all, this is read too much about this shit, but Elon Musk just kind of did the same thing. He just he almost, remember when Elon Musk was talking about he'll solve world hunger for $6 billion. He showing the receipts. He ended up donating $5.6 billion to his own charity for hunger or something like that. And then again, when you donate to a charity, you're able to write that money off, and he would donate it to his own charity, which it's just moving wealth is basically what it's just moving money, which is what they call money laundering. Let's not forget, Donald Trump was really quick to host the Upstart Golf League, funded by the Saudis. I think he took a $200 million payday to host one of the events at this. I forgot what it's even called, and we probably
Live Golf Tour. Yeah.
Live Golf Tour, right? The competitor, or at least the Upstart, right? Mm-hmm. He's taken money for. I lost my train of thought.
But we've established. But what's fucked up is that we've established in this country, at least, that taking money from Saudi Arabia and doing business with Saudi Arabia most people don't view it the way we view it, right? Like Saudi Arabia is not viewed the way through the same lens that we view Saudi Arabia, right? So doing business with them, taking money from them, taking money for the golf tour, none of that resonates with his followers as a bad thing. I gotta bring up. This is exactly what you said he wasn't, and his tax returns show you he is what we were us on the other side were telling you all along. Is he is a grifting asshole.
Enjoy those NFT cards,
right?
Think about this. Think about this. The same people that were bitching about gas prices spent $100 an NFT. We've covered NFTs. It's not something you can touch.
Right. We don't even know if it's going to last. The whole phenomenon.
I will guarantee you that at least 90% of the people, the actual people that bought, not I'm saying some weird investment firm that spent a whole lot of money, because look at that too. Look how many people. I think he said somebody that in the first 3 days they sold 45,000 cards, which again is a made up number. Is almost like I was the 45th president. Why don't we just say because my friends bought a lot of them, and it was a way to move money.
Like if you wrote a book and you and your friends bought all the copies of the book just so that you could say it was a bestseller, it's not really a bestseller.
Donald Trump Jr. Donald Trump Jr. That's exactly what happened there, and that's money laundering. That's the grift. Trump Airlines, Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Lobsters, Trump's Tickle Your Balls, all of it. What is panned out besides real estate, which is another great way to launder money, because if you know what you're doing, you can overvalue properties and say, yeah, that condo's worth $19.5 million, which is exactly the amount of money I need to move to this guy over here to cover that thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Trump organization.
Dude, he got his people to give him money to fight the election fraud, and then paid nothing of that. He just took that money. He just took it.
Same thing with.
And they were like, okay, we're cool with that. Like, what is it going to take, Brooks? What is the straw that breaks the camel's back? Is there one? What is it going to be where they finally just give up on this guy?
Well, it's going to take somebody who knows how to manipulate the crowd better and be less blunt, and that's going to be Ron DeSantis at this point, right?
He's already there. So why are they waiting? What are they waiting for? Why can't we just have a full-on, all right, enough of this guy? The Republican Party wants nothing to do with him anymore. Why are we not seeing that? This is bizarro world, dude. We live in a fucking bizarro world. Makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. You never thought, like, okay, so we're of the generation. Like, you and I can sit here and a majority of everybody in the world's most dangerous chat zone, the Thunderdome, can sit here and right now tell you exactly where they were during 9/11. But none of us can tell you or just have vague memories of what life was like before that, right? And it seems almost since then, which, 11 years coming up on, almost 12, 11 and a half years. Life is just absolutely, the political stage has become so much more busy, so much more fluid, where it's a stressful thing every day. You wake up and there's Peru's on fire now, and holy shit, like, what's going on in Afghanistan right now? They just told women, you're not going to get educated. What? The new. Go ahead.
I'm looking at the chat zone. I'm looking at the world's most dangerous chat room, and Dad F and Brooks is on fire right now, and he's spitting a lot of truth. And I can at least sympathize maybe with his apathy to the whole thing, of feeling like there is a kind of a kicking the can down the road, passing the buck. The January 6th committee, is anything going to come of this? Are we going to see any charges, real charges, against them? I don't know. I feel like it'll be very easy for them to say, well, we did everything we could, but the DOJ just dropped the ball and says, we're going to go ahead and, not do anything with this. I can understand that apathy of, man, is anything really ever going to come of this? Because to this point, it hasn't.
I will freely pass on some knowledge that I gained. I've mentioned her before on the show. Man, it would be a get if we could ever get her, but she probably, her name is Sarah Kendzior, and her latest book is They Knew. And just to give you a bit, she does a podcast called Gaslighting. I'm sorry, Gaslit Nation. And in her last book, she spells out exactly the situation going on in the Department of Justice, and that we currently have Merrick Garland, who was famously delayed and denied a seat on the Supreme Court by some very strategic sources, Mitch McConnell especially leaning in on the whole thing, right? Being almost held back for another position, eventually becoming the head of the Department of Justice. It's important to mention at this point now that Merrick Garland's mentor is a gentleman by the name of Jamie Gorelick.
Okay.
Jamie Gorelick is a member of the Federalist Society. Jamie Gorelick signed off on Jared Kushner's security clearances when he lied up and down his application for classified security clearances. And a lot of the intelligence community went up in arms about it, that he got the access that he did.
Right, I remember we talked about that back.
Fast forward a couple of years, 4 to be exact, and all of a sudden the Trump administration is exiting, and buried beneath the story of a riot, an attempted coup in the nation's capital, was that Jared Kushner got a pretty lofty $2 billion payoff from Saudi Arabia for who knows what.
But Hunter Biden's laptop, Brooks.
The laptop is got it. It's got the evidence.
That oil company in Ukraine, they paid Hunter Biden.
They
like $250,000.
That they prove.
You said how much did Jared Kushner get? $2 billion?
That's not true. He was doing work. Oh yeah. Oh, and hey, pal. What about that 1.5 billion that Steve Mnuchin got from the UAE, from the United Arab Emirates, for an investment firm, right? What about the $646 million that Ivanka and Jared made while in office? What about the 200 or so copyrights in China that Ivanka got?
How about when there was restrictions on placed on getting products from China or selling products in China? Magically, Ivanka's company was exempt from those restrictions.
Dad F. and Brooks has been on fire, and what I think in my heart of hearts, because the older I get, the more I'm either solidifying some deeply held truths in my life, in my beliefs that there are good people out there trying to do good things, or I'm just romanticizing the idea that we live in a democracy, or that everybody's on a take. And I think that's a poisonous route, because you can go through your life, and politics is just a microcosm of what you see and all the people you meet in your life, because all the people that you meet throughout your life, the shifty ones, the great ones, he's okay, I'll go have a drink with him, but that kind of thing. Those are your congressmen, those are your senators, those are your local politicians, right? So they represent a true microcosm of all of us, right? So, but that means there are good people out there, that not everybody's on the take. Not everybody's like, sure, at this point, everybody's got, if you want to play the game at that level, you have to play the game. Right. At some point, nobody's absolutely innocent, and there are no angels out there at that level. Right. But there are good people. There are people out there trying to do the good things. And their voices need to be trumpeted. We can't just say like, So I think the January 6th committee, I think that was like to say like, hey, the good people tried to do as much as they could. Sure. Was it a little late? Yes. Were they maybe stalled and bullied in? Maybe yes, but they at least did it. They got it out there. They tried. Right. And they even tried to make it like a procedural TV show. They did their best to appeal.
Tried to dumb it down as best they could. Right. Yes. Video highlights, clips, not just boring white people and old people talking at you. They did do their best to try to make it digestible to everyone.
That was that they were not talking in long form, right? But everybody there were lawyers, and they could tell, again, they did their best to at least go, hey guys, this is it. All we're asking you is to follow this like you follow Stranger Things. You can tell me all about the Gorgon. You can tell me all about like where all this fun stuff, but we're asking you to pay attention to the evidence of a coup.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. These people were talking to these people that were talking to these people who shut down communication. All of it, right? All of it. They laid out this entire case. I thought that they're doing it to get it on record that we, at least no matter what happens.
Yeah, history. At least it was on. It is on the official record.
They tried
forever. History will be able to tell this story. Yeah.
And at this point, you have to look long term, because that's what history is. And
Right.
living history. We've talked about that too. We are living history, whether it's a pandemic, whether it's a attempted coup, the rise of fascism in America. What's next, Ben? It's a
Hippos
sent to us by our
trying to eat people.
longtime contributor, Tipped in Moscow. Thank you. I lost the first name for a second. That the pregame Brooks in full effect.
He watches the show, so he knows this is definitely right in line with the topic the Thunderdome. We like these kind of we like hippo stories.
We love the hippo stories, and we're gonna get. They'll explain why the hippo is the most dangerous animal in the wild.
Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Like it just looks. It looks like it wants to fuck you up.
It looks like it not only wants to,
it's waiting for you to get
knows
close.
It can. And
yes.
The look is like, do I want to have fun today?
Asshole. Keep getting closer, asshole.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, Tipped in Moscow sent this link in from NPR. A hippo attack a young boy and then spits him out. First things first. 2-year-old boy who was attacked by a hippopotamus in Uganda was saved and had a full recovery. But they also say the hippo had the boy in its jaws, with the child's head and upper body in the animal's mouth, before a brave bystander rescued the boy. The attack took place about 3 p.m. on December 4 when the boy was playing at his home near a lake in Kasisi district in western Uganda. The area includes several large lakes, national parks, and game reserves. Reserves. Thank you. Yeah. Woo. Along with a series of lakes and safari lodges. The boy was saved by a bystander identified as Crispus Bangonza, that he stoned the hippo and scared it, causing it to release the victim from its mouth.
Unbelievable. Can you imagine how frightening that must be? Your 2-year-old in the jaws of a fucking hippo? No.
It reminds me of that Bob Dylan song. Every hippo gets stoned. I assume what they mean by stone the animal as in he hit it with a rock. Right?
You have to
go. I don't think he came up to it with a big Bob Marley blunt. It was like, and hippo was like, child plucked from the jaws of danger. I believe there was a rock involved, but I don't know. We weren't there. From that story, Jesus, I don't know if we can handle this one, Ben.
Yeah, it's a Washington Post, so I can't bring it up because I don't have a subscription. But nevertheless, I still want to talk about it.
Okay, so there's been a lot of noise. There's been a lot of things, right? Something very, very treacherous and terrible and horrible is happening in our legal system right now. And surprise, surprise, a person named Stephen Miller is behind them all. So you can't see it. This is from the Washington Post. A deal in early 2021 was hailed by advocates for Black farmers as the most significant piece of legislation since the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It was about $4 billion in President Biden's massive pandemic stimulus package to rectify decades of discrimination. Minority farmers began investing in new machinery, other improvements, anticipating tens of thousands of dollars in government aid. But today, not today necessarily, but this was from December 12. On December 12, the landmark deal on behalf of historically disadvantaged farmers is dead. Successfully challenged in court by a fledgling conservative organization that argued the program was racially discriminating against white farmers. America First Legal is headed by Stephen Miller, the architect of President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigrants. You might know his face. You might know his picture.
Yes.
Kind of looks like Joseph Goebbels, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Somebody can
Very
find it.
punchable. It is a very, very, very punchable.
Much punchable face. And they call it the AFL, this America First Legal. So while AFL lacks the name recognition and financial heft of many conservative counterparts, it has racked up notable court victories over the Biden administration, casting itself as, quote, the long-awaited answer to the ACLU, end quote. AFL has weaponized the grievance politics embodied by Trump's Make America Great Again movement through dozens of federal lawsuits challenging efforts to remedy racial disparities, support LGBTQ communities and students, and expand the pool of early voters. I'm going to skip a paragraph, not that you're scrolling with me. Many of the lawsuits are centered on making sure that white people remain in control and continue to benefit from the unearned privileges of maintaining systemic discriminatory policies that have harmed Black people and other people of color for generations. This is said by David Hinoza, who is an attorney for the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. To argue that white men are being pushed to the back of the line is unfounded and ridiculous. What they're being asked to do is take a place in line with other people who do not look like them. It's an amazing scenario that this guy has moved into weaponizing the law against people of color. And while knowing full well the history of America, the history of the disparity and the inequity, which, if you're, again, a good, decent person, you can just sit back and go, you know what, man, that was pretty messed up. And the system exists and has been built on that. So we need to recognize that the system exists and was built on that, and realize that we have the whole thing is built to keep people who don't look like us in a certain position.
The bigger problem is that they keep winning. Right? Like, why can't these judges also see?
Do you want to know why?
Because dark money has funded all of the fucking lower court judges, along with the Supreme Court, funded the candidacies of like all of them, basically.
Not only that, there were a ton of dark money, obviously. They're filing lawsuits in favorable districts, specifically in
Texas.
Thank you.
Knew that was coming.
From Trump-appointed judges, who are then overruling okay, let's just talk about the national budget and what $4 billion is to the national budget, right? Like nothing. It was set aside for people who have been provably disadvantaged. These people were the people who voted for a Democratic rule for Joe Biden, for Kamala Harris. And now they're being denied these things while already having basically signed, hey, we're going to get this money.
Right.
a year later, after the legislation signed, ink's dry, hey, this money's ready to go out. Time out,
Yeah.
Charlie. Bunch of yahoos in Texas being basically led and orchestrated by a proto-Nazi.
Yeah. I mean, for real, like he is the king of the dog whistle, Stephen Miller. He hits every note out there for white supremacists. He is a big supporter of the white replacement theory that guys like Tucker Carlson, trumpet. Stephen Miller is an obvious racist, and to know that he was that close to a sitting president and is also able to wield legal power that is clearly and obviously white supremacist in nature is maddening. It's maddening.
He crafted the Title 42 policy, the anti-immigration policy that was trumpeted by the MAGA movement, which is now synonymous with white supremacists and fascists. Stephen Miller is a fascist.
The Biden administration is trying to keep it in place. Let's call it where it is. Like the Biden administration wants to keep that policy in place, which is not a great look at all.
No, and certainly will be used against, but by who? Who's gonna right? Like
right? Okay. Hey, did you see that the Bidens agreed with us? The Biden administration agreed with us. Yeah, the Republicans aren't going to point that out. Like, yeah, did you see that he agreed with us on that topic? Like, yeah, no, that doesn't do that.
So they can get away with a situation like that, right? Because again, that's kind of part of the problem. Again, another quote from Sarah Kendzior. Look her up, please. But in a lot of aspects, we have basically organized crime masquerading as government.
Yeah, it feels like it, dude. That's a great way to put it, because that's what it feels like.
Oh, it's
really what it feels like.
Yeah, look, just take a look around. Just take a look around. Everybody likes to idolize all these gangster movies, and but understand, like, that's an organization that is run on fear, on power, and greed. And as this guy's after my job at work. No, this guy came to kill me this evening, babe, and I was just lucky enough to have shot him first. Right? And it's a very, that's not government. That's power. So we have to recognize that. Let's not talk about COVID. I don't know. Do we want to talk about COVID? Really? All right. You know what?
Was cool.
I think the Zimbabwe thing is really cool. I let me just say this before we don't have to do that story, but I just want to say this: something really terrible is happening in China.
You could say that at almost any point in history.
We're going to feel the effects of this, not in weeks, but maybe in months. But right now, China lifted their notorious zero COVID policy. We talked about how they would lock down an entire city. And if you lived in a high rise, you were forbidden from leaving your building and your apartment. And for a lot of reasons, that was a good way to manage the pandemic or the virus and the spread. But their national vaccine wasn't so great. Although I guess they have a nasal spray, which is like 15 times stronger than like the Pfizer's.
Shit.
Oh yeah, they went next level. They were like, okay, here's something, but like we're thinking ahead, and it's some sort of nasal spray. It's supposed to be, again, take it with a grain of salt. I've seen some stuff about it, but it's you're not going to see it on the news anyway, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
they relaxed a lot of those situations, and the situation's kind of grim out there, really, to be honest with you. And the way it affected the supply chain before, I know we talked about here, just the way it affected what I do for a living, where we didn't have enough like contrast for certain studies that we do. because the factory shut down in Shanghai. You couldn't get toiletries, you couldn't get your Amazon stuff, and there is going to be a real problem because
Right.
they didn't exactly adopt the let it rip strategy, but they met somewhere in the middle from 0 to let it rip. And because their vaccines weren't so great, there are a lot of what they're calling like naive immune systems to the virus.
So the fear is that they open back up and the virus spreads even worse this time, or equally as bad.
The, yes, I get what you're saying, and that is the immediate like, oh, a lot of people are gonna get sick, and yes, there's some terrible videos coming out. Again, like the first wave around Wuhan, there's some terrible videos coming out of like just the hallways in hospitals filled with like dead bodies and stuff like just like now that could be propaganda. I've seen a lot of it, and I've seen like lines trying to get into like crematoriums and stuff. Like hearses are just the crematoriums are running 24/7. Is just not enough, right? What the problem really is every single person that the virus infects gives that virus a chance to adapt and create another strain. And once you start looking at the math in that situation and how we know a virus, the only thing it cares about is survival. It will do everything in its cellular power to survive. The real fear becomes not only the initial wave, like, oh God, here comes this global wave of COVID, and then affects the supply chain.
We're back where we were. We're right back at square one again. Yeah.
But here comes
The new version,
the
that's
super
stronger.
version, right? And
Yeah.
and we've already in the United States, a healthcare worker right here. I can tell you right now, every hospital where I work in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, is full. It's the flu season. RSV is out of control. COVID is ramping up to the point that Chicago is now like not necessarily saying wear masks, but they're strongly consider like you should wear masks, guys.
Interesting.
The people are waiting 6, 8, 10 hours in an ER waiting room to be seen because there's just no room, and there's not enough people to again.
The media is not reporting any of that. You're not hearing that at all. That's down there with the the Iran stories, where you got to really look for them if you're gonna find them now. Because we've talked about before, there is no doubt that there is COVID exhaustion.
We have a Venom reference. We have a Venom reference in from Biz and his lovely bride Yolanda. So right on. Hey, thanks for oh shoot, dude, did you see the Probert reference?
Oh yeah,
Data from Brooks. Yes,
I got two of them. I just don't have enough room. I have a white jersey, Probert jersey that I have framed exactly like that one too.
Morgues are not only right now. We're going to get to the point where again we're just going to have to do the trailers and stuff. I didn't want to be so depressing before the holidays. Shit, but shit is again just okay. Just buy a little extra. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. This is going to be big. We're talking about China. We're going to just have 1 billion plus people, almost 1.2, I think, billion people that we know how the virus works. We know the science of the virus. All it's going to do is continue to mutate to survive. So it's going to take on the traits of its hosts and learn how to survive in that, and not only learn how to survive in the host, but learn how to jump to another host and survive there. The goddamn thing lasts in the air, right? The most hostile environment. Like oxygen. Oxygen is terrible for us. We only breathe in about 12% of oxygen when we take a breath. Most of it is carbon dioxide.
Yeah, Adrian pointing out there is a shortage of amoxicillin and children's pain relievers. There was a photo someone posted locally of a grocery store where the children's pain reliever section was
wiped
empty.
out.
completely empty and wiped out. I mean, and Aunt Chris talking about students coughing and sneezing, not wearing masks. There's a total exhaustion where we're back to where we were, and we didn't learn anything. Is ultimately what it comes down to. We didn't learn anything because people are still going to work sick, they're going to school sick, and they're spreading it around. And we're not wearing masks when we're sick, and we didn't learn anything, Brooks. Once again, America didn't learn shit. Hundreds of thousands of people died. They're no longer here because of this virus. But here we are again, people going to work sick. I even fight this battle at my own job where there's these old school mindsets of, if you're not running a fever, come in. And it's like, no, it's not that easy. It's like you're still coughing and hacking, and you're still contagious. You're still spreading that shit around. We've got to get to a place where business is okay with people staying home sick. Not only okay with it, encouraging people to stay home when they are sick. But you can't do it because you're not getting paid sick leave.
Well,
so you have to go to work.
That was going to be my point, right? Because it's a twofold attack on the business, right? You're going to lose that person because they're down sick, right? But if you make them come to work because they don't have an adequate sick time plan or a PTO bank that covers their illness, they're going to get other people sick. And that's all right. So one hit to your productivity, then two, and the way things in these situations go, that two doesn't become three, that two becomes four. And then that four becomes maybe not six. You're lucky if it multiplies like that. But like, again, once somebody gets sick in an office environment, and we've talked about ventilation being probably the biggest problem of them all, there's not enough ventilation to draw all that droplet that came out of that cough or that sneeze that somebody didn't actually go into a shirt or into a mask or anything like that. Like, it's a problem. It'll be a problem. Just look at Japan. Look, Japan's transmission of flu. It is incredibly low considering world standards. Why?
Because for years, for decades, they've worn masks.
They've worn masks when they're in public. And I'm not talking the N95 or K95s.
For a story we weren't gonna talk about, we've now spent like 7 minutes.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the procedural masks, the masks you see everybody wearing on TV shows. Like, oh, they're wearing a mask, not the N95s or the crazy respiratory mask or respirator mask. Excuse me, but yes, because they're insanely clean. We didn't learn anything. We didn't learn anything about managing it. We stopped testing. So what? Oh, we don't even know. We're not even testing enough. So we don't know what the transmission is. We don't know where the spread is. We don't know where, like, oh shit, like it's hot in Minneapolis. We need to do something about this. Like not necessarily shut the city down, but let's focus some national resources to help kind of alleviate this. Oh man, we went way offline. We weren't even supposed to talk about COVID today, really, to be honest with you. But it is what it is, and it's again, we're probably months away from feeling this wave that's going on in China right now. Just saying, folks. Zimbabwe. Nobody cares.
I've got an interesting take on this.
Nobody cares about Zimbabwe until they have one of the most precious resources on the planet. It's lithium. And now all of a sudden, everybody cares about Zimbabwe.
Suddenly they're going to have a dictator that needs to be relieved to free the people of Zimbabwe. Wait till that narrative starts coming out soon.
But for the time being, Zimbabwe has started to care about Zimbabwe and said, hey, you know what? Whoa. Wow, look at this. All right, I don't know who that guy. Let's just call him Ben J, not Ben G, but Ben J. Interesting. But yes, back to the story. Zimbabwe has prohibited the export of raw lithium from its mines so it can cash in on value addition and stop losing billions of dollars in mineral proceeds to foreign companies.
Yeah,
What
look
a
at that.
wonderful idea.
You mean nationalizing the resource that the country has in its ground that that we're staying on top of, instead of individuals owning that, they're nationalizing it and saying no, it's all of ours. And not only is it all of ours, but we're not just going to give it away to foreign companies.
Two vibranium references, and absolutely
it is the same concept. It's the same idea.
It's the same idea. And what they're saying is basically, we're going to control this resource. It's ours. If we're gonna play the game that we're gonna defend these imaginary lines with the blood of our young people, then this shit is ours, and we're gonna mine it, we're gonna refine it, and you're gonna buy it from us.
Yeah,
nobody
not
else.
Foreign companies. Yeah,
you're not gonna. Yeah. Tesla, let's just say, I don't know, have they been in the news lately, Ben? Tesla is not going to come in and buy a piece of this and buy a mine and own the production. No.
What this is going to do, Brooks, this is my take on it. First of all, I'm all about nationalizing natural resources of a country. If we're going to play the game of imaginary lines, this is mine because I stay on top of it, then you nationalize it, make it everybody's. But that's not really the take I want to talk about here. The take I want to talk about is this. I believe this move is going to further accelerate the research and development of alternatives to using lithium for electric vehicles, right? Because if this is where they're going to go, Ford Motor Company and General Motors, who have spent billions of dollars committing themselves to electric vehicles, are not going. They're going to go to their research and development people and go, well, I tell you this, we're not going to buy lithium from Zimbabwe.
Look at the prices. Can you imagine?
Look at the prices. So let's figure out
Theodore,
something else.
Do you imagine what they're charging for lithium?
You can imagine that the fucking guy in the suit busts in on the nerds in lab coats and goes, all right, nerds, we're not buying lithium from Zimbabwe. Come up with a better idea.
Figure it out.
Storms back out, and all these guys in fucking white coats are like, what? Okay, fine. We'll come up with something.
I've never seen theater like that before.
Right. Mr. Smith is really angry.
Oh, shit. What do we do? We got to come up with an alternative to lithium.
Oh, shit.
Wait, it's a natural element.
Fuck. Well, Bob, what do you got? You got any good ideas?
Shit,
no,
man,
I don't.
I'm 2 years
Jim,
from
what about
retirement.
you?
Don't look at me.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want my pension.
Jim's like, shit, I was committed to lithium.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I spent the last 25 years of my life studying lithium. What are you talking about? Is there something else? I don't know.
Right. I'm not the guy to ask. I'm the lithium guy.
I'm the lithium team. I don't want to make fun of that, but we're talking geopolitics, global geopolitics. Oh man. Did anybody watch? Poor transition, but we're talking about global shit, right? Uh-huh. Did anybody watch that World Cup final?
I hate soccer.
Oh,
I have no interest in it. I didn't watch it. I didn't care.
No,
I don't care at all. I tried. I told you guys for like 4 minutes, I cared about America beating Iran for political reasons. And beyond that, I have not watched any of it. I don't care. It's not my thing. It is easily the most boring sport I've ever watched in my entire life.
And I'm completely on board with that. It is like it requires a lot more patience than American sports fans are used to.
And I don't have that. Yeah.
I will tell you this: that match will make you at least appreciate. Wow,
that Mbappe guy doing what he did, it was pretty impressive.
And Messi doing
I watched the highlights.
The stars showed up and did what stars do, do what legends do. But the game was the match, I'm sorry, was beginning to end super entertaining. And it was very clear there were momentum changes for most of the match. Argentina leads 2-0. And then in a minute and 38 seconds, Mbappe scores 2 goals, right?
Crazy.
And changes, and you're watching it and the way, okay, so as an older person, like having like I can see when a play that's a play, like look, oh, that they just repeated, that's a set play. They just did something. You can see what they're doing. That match went to the wire, and it was the most entertaining soccer match I've ever seen in my life. I'm not saying I'm a fan, but if you had to have somebody sit down and go like, okay, I get it, it's boring, but watch this.
Sure, and I can appreciate that, because for me, watching Tiger Woods win the Masters after coming back and from everything he had come back from, like watching that, I had that same sort of like, you're watching a sports moment that will live forever, but not everyone can appreciate it because it's golf. It's like, it's that golf is boring, it's stupid. They're just hitting a little ball in a hole and stuff.
And don't understand the intricacies,
The
right?
nuances, what makes it great. Yeah.
Right. And what makes somebody special. Like, in all honesty, Messi's goal in the shootout, because they do a shootout after like extended time, it was just the coolest thing, man. It was almost like slow motion, and he deked the goaltender out just by moving slow and just like did this real casual kick to the other side. Messi, they're saying he's the greatest ever, and if that's his resume, like, I'm in. Like, that dude, what he did, oh man. And Mbappe, I'm not the world's biggest soccer fan, but it was really exciting and worth a try.
You know who are soccer fans? The people in Argentina.
4 million strong.
That is incredible. I heard that the other day. That the entire country of Argentina shut down. Literally shut down because everyone was at the parade.
Everyone.
4 million people at a fucking parade. It's insane when you think about it. So here's some footage. Look at this. Look at that. It gives me a panic attack just thinking about being in the middle of that crowd.
It does, right?
Like, where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go. You're just in the middle of a mass of people. Look at all those fucking people.
It doesn't make sense, right?
Virus. It looks like a virus took over the city.
Well, we are. Bill Hicks famously said, we're a virus with shoes. Just think, though, like, 4 million people. There were people on the highways and literally crowding the highway. Like, everything shut down. And Chicago's proud that like 500,000 people showed up for the Blackhawks. Like, blah, blah, blah. There was no, dude, a country showed up into a city and there was no room anywhere. But it does. Billy Whack. It does look like a Disney CGI, but like, again, we
was real people.
There isn't a sport as a nation that we identify with, that we compete globally with, internationally with, that there's no comparison, right? We don't get the World Cup. We don't understand. We don't.
Right. I fully admit I'm not their target audience. I don't get it.
It's
but
just,
that's impressive.
In the idea that it's just a global tournament that happens every 4 years.
Right.
You would think, would it like get people excited, especially because it's a national thing, right? It's not the Olympics. But for some reason, here and this one little piece of land in North America, we're like,
It is amazing to think that Argentina opened the World Cup by losing to Saudi Arabia and then went on to win the World Cup.
Messi scored the first goal in every round, in every game. There are some incredible things that happened in this World Cup thing. It is insane how cool it was. Like Mbappe scored the most goals like ever in a World Cup like tournament. Like we don't get it, but that's like Pele, who's actually really sick with cancer right now. So all thoughts and prayers out to Pele. But like we're talking about people who are surpassing Pele. Like Messi is the best. Yeah. We're looking at a Jordan. It was mentioned. I think Ryan Hansen mentioned it. But yeah, hey,
and we might be looking at LeBron with Mbappe.
In a lot of aspects, you're absolutely right. Who doesn't like an Alex Jones rant?
Me, I love Alex Jones rants.
So, in an attempt to not get blocked in several countries for violating copyright laws, I found this website, this YouTube channel that did a computer voice. It's a computer voice of this Alex Jones rant, which you could see the title. I don't tell lies. Alex Jones blabbers about self-fulfilling prophecy. Seek it out yourself because the computer doesn't get Alex Jones like that, but to just not get banned in Canada. I'm looking right at you, Canada. We get banned there a lot. We have this.
Alex Jones lashed out at his audience on Tuesday for believing what he said was propaganda from the mainstream media following a bankruptcy hearing. During his InfoWars broadcast, Jones faulted media reports that said he had been stripped of some bankruptcy protections. The broadcaster noted that his attorneys agreed to the court order. "This place is on the edge of insolvency," he explained. "We are in bankruptcy to try to get through this and to try to minimize the bills." And then a bunch of the audience thinks, well, he's going off air, I'm not going to support him. Jones said that even if a judge granted him a $1.3 million salary, he eventually would not be able to afford food. "It's a liberating feeling," he continued. "I kind of feel good in this fight that I'm going to get down to the point where I can't buy groceries. That makes me feel actually like I've done my job. I'm actually liking this in a way." His demeanor darkened as he reflected on the bankruptcy hearing. "I don't tell lies, you got that?" he exclaimed.
Yeah, right.
"That's my secret.
That's why you're in bankruptcy, dude.
More powerful every day because I've trained myself not to lie to myself, not to lie to my audience, and not to lie in front of God."
Buy these
Jones
vitamins.
also worried that his downfall was a self-fulfilling prophecy. "All the fake lawsuits couldn't shut us
Frogs
down,
are being turned
but you
gay.
decided to believe their propaganda," he said, "and you believe we're
Lizard
going under
people.
because the lawyers told you we're going under, the Democrats told you we're going under. And you've decided, some of you, to believe that, so we've gotten less support."
Let's be
Okay,
clear, what he
believe
means by less support is you're
Jones
not buying as much merch as he
it will
used
make
to.
it true.
Right, yeah. I need you to buy more swag, please.
Because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we were way behind to pay the bills, I could just say, well, it's time to really shut this down, he added. But that fact that it's just right there. We're almost where we need to be. And we're just almost going to beat these people.
No,
It just pisses me
No,
off.
you're not. You lost resoundingly over and over again.
Continue to
Like,
lose in
yeah,
every
what are you
avenue,
talking
in
about?
every legal hall. You've lost.
Right, yeah. You can't lose more
Please,
than you've lost.
But don't,
Only Trump has lost.
Ben,
before.
don't stop supporting me. We need more support. I can't do an Alex Jones.
No, you can't.
That's
No,
one
no,
thing I can't. Yeah,
you gotta
that's
yell
right.
a lot more.
There are too many voices going into that Alex Jones that aren't Alex Jones.
Right. Yeah, there is a little bit of Jesse Ventura out of nowhere.
I don't know what you mean, Ben. I don't know why you're asking questions. I'm the man who asked the questions, Ben. Former governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura. I was a Navy SEAL, Ben. and I dealt with the bomb cyclone, which is apparently happening. Shit, we're in the middle of it. We're about to face a winter storm that they've named. Are they naming winter storms now?
Why not?
Sure. This one's called Elliot, and I guess we're all fucked for Christmas. Santa ain't coming because everything's going to be frozen, if not snowed in or iced in, or just nobody wants nobody wants
noise.
to go.
That noise you hear is Ted Cruz packing his bags for Cancun.
Right. It's in preparation for the power grid in Texas to just absolutely fail. And probably not alone, because I've been reading plenty of stories about what's going to happen over here in Illinois, because apparently a lot of places have had some record snowfall in power lines. And this thing that's going to happen, apparently that's going to touch and affect almost every state. And what some weather experts are going to say is a once in a generation type storm.
Oh, good.
Hang on to your lily white butts, folks. Winter Storm Elliot is likely to cause the coldest Christmas the U.S. has seen in almost 40 years. The storm is projected to cycle through the U.S. Wednesday through Saturday, affecting the Great Plains on Wednesday night with heavy snow and winds. The National Weather Service has deemed travel during this time as hazardous. Now, when the weather people go, this shit is hazardous. Again, I just harken back. Folks that live in the area, Chicago might remember, it's probably 7 or 8 years ago now, when the National Weather Service, the weather people, the meteorologists said there is a ginormous winter storm coming. Don't get in your car and drive home. It is dangerous. You will get stuck. Anybody that lives in the area of Chicago will remember the enormous line of cars snowed in.
Buses. Remember the buses that were just left, and they were snowed, literally snow inside the buses because they just left the doors open?
Shut down the city. I'm pretty sure people died.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
And not because I think they're like a heart attack situation, but okay, so that just consider that complication, right? There are you in your fucking Range Rover can't get through the snowbank. What do you think that ambulance is going to be able to do?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to get to you or your loved one or whatever. So when they say travel is hazardous, as travel plans be known, Gigi, Fiona, and I were expecting to leave for St. Louis on Friday after work. It'd be like, we already paid for the hotel. We got family Christmas down there, and now we're like,
yeah,
do we go?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a great idea.
We're looking at a situation where they're talking about 50 to 60 mile an hour wind gusts, temperatures minus 40 degrees. So Elliot, which is the boy, I believe, in E.T. And I don't know again why they started naming winter storms. Elliot's going to fuck travel just about everywhere in the Midwest, which, by the way, if you're traveling, can't get cross country without the Midwest. Nobody needs to hear that. But yeah, I'm quickly losing my wits here, and when that happens, I have to call for a charge. I have to call for a recharge. There's only one solution, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the lightning round. Ladies and gentlemen, the lightning round. If you're new and just joining us or advertising for free in the world's most dangerous chat zone, we call it the Thunderdome. Let me explain to you what we're talking about. 3 stories enter the Thunderdome. 1 gets read. And folks, it's quite simple. You choose that story because this is a democracy. It's chosen by the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, without dilly or dally, as I quickly scramble to open up the lightning round folder here on the internet, I give to you headline number 1. Man accused of attacking wife with Christmas tree when asked to help make dinner.
And that is why we don't have a Christmas tree in our house.
Headline number 2. State police. Hamburger thrown at McDonald's employee.
Listen, I have been pushed to almost that point before. So
Pandemic has affected us all. And headline number 3. Frenchman sparks hospital evacuation after arriving with a World War I artillery shell stuck in his rectum.
Yeah, that one's for Courtney right there. She'll love that one.
I don't even know what that means.
Courtney
That is
hates
what it is.
anything like revolving around that. She,
Like-
she will hate
like
that story.
But
Here.
adjacent, she's against.
French bomb ass.
Oh, so as
Come on.
you know, you never know about the lightning round, ladies and gentlemen. So because of that, we like to offer you another go at the headlines. So let's go over this one more time. Headline number 1. Man accused of attacking wife with Christmas tree when asked to help make dinner. That would win any other week.
Yes.
It truly would. Headline number 2. Hamburger thrown at McDonald's employee. Headline number 3. Frenchman sparks hospital evacuation after arriving with a World War I artillery shell stuck in his rectum.
Yeah, three. Billy Wack is definitely voting for 3. He opens up the voting. It looks like he's going with number 3. Yes, we don't have a tree because my son is a tiny domestic terrorist. That is in fact correct. All right, let's get those
Ben's
votes
son,
in.
not ours. It's your son, Ben.
Yeah,
Let's get this correct. That is-
exactly. Yeah, no. The votes are pouring in. 2 votes for number 1. Ma Jordan in with number 3. Aunt Chris voting for number 3. And now we got our Ryan Hansen alternate universe headlines: assault by Christmas tree, MC meat projectile, Mick meat projectile, and bombs away.
Bombs and butts away. Well, I don't think there's any point in tallying up the votes. I haven't seen a single vote that wouldn't be number 3. So why don't we just kind of get to that? Ben, I sent you the link for the first time in like months where I sent you the winner. Let's get right to it, folks.
Courtney doesn't even vote because
Yeah,
she knows.
my vote. It's like voting for
Sorry,
Jill
Courtney.
Stein in 2016. Frenchman sparks hospital evacuation after arriving with an artillery shell from World War I in his bum.
There's the picture of the actual artillery shell. Look at it. They were nice enough to actually share the photo of the actual artillery shell. Thank you.
As a healthcare worker, I would say that's an appropriate, because that's somebody's arm. I can see like the hospital gowns and everything. There is no private health information on display here. Just what happened to be in the bum of an 88-year-old man in France
Shit.
who arrived at a hospital with a World War I shell lodged in his rectum. The man sparked a bomb scare after doctors feared the shell would explode. Doctors at the Toulon hospital soon removed the bomb that was 8 inches long.
Oh.
Doctors were left shell-shocked after an 88-year-old Frenchman arrived at the hospital with a World War I bomb stuck in his rectum. The unnamed senior citizen arrived at the hospital Saint Mus in Toulon in southern France on Saturday evening in the hope of having an 8-inch artillery shell dislodged from his anus. But his arrival sparked a bomb scare, and hospital officials feared the antique explosive would detonate. French news organization Var Matin reported. Bomb disposal experts soon arrived at the scene and laughed their asses off, so to speak, and then determined that there was a little risk of the shell exploding inside the man. Once it was dislodged from the man's rectum, the doctors measured the shell at 8 inches, 20 centimeters long, and over 2 inches wide. Now that's what I call a good time. The incident took place at the hospital in Toulon in southern France on Saturday evening. Why did they repeat that? I'm sure there's some translational issues. It is understood that the man had inserted it into his bottom for sexual pleasure. That's just weaponizing sex, Ben.
I mean, is there another reason to put a World War II shell in your
Had a blood.
His ass was the bomb.
Yeah, this is why it's the world's most dangerous chat zone, ladies and gentlemen. It's like an SNL show, like right in the chat zone. All you got to do is tune in on Twitch, YouTube.
Like the writer's room of a comedy show. Yeah.
It truly is all the good stuff without the filter. So yes,
exactly. He couldn't have grabbed anything else. Like, no, this 88-year-old man was having flashbacks to World War I, and he was like, you know what I'm gonna do?
I remember my time in the trenches.
Yeah,
I remember Frank.
Hey, look, I have that shell, that artillery shell that I kept from all those years back. You know what I should do with it? I should put it in my asshole.
Not like there are things designed not only to go there or it specifically
really more comfortable and sanitary and
less
all
dangerous or explosive.
Yeah, and won't explode in your asshole.
8 inches of gunpowder.
8 inches of gunpowder. That's the name of our band,
absolutely.
by the way. 8 inches,
8 inches
of
gunpowder. We're 8 inches of gunpowder.
We're a heavy metal band for sure.
Absolutely.
Black metal band, yeah.
I'm in. Sticking history in his ass. See, this is ladies and gentlemen, this is why you're the world's most dangerous.
Seriously, get a dildo, sir.
Really, for real. They make things that they're supposed to go there and are made to pleasure those areas. Like not just something that was made to destroy and kill people.
Right, you could have done so much better, sir.
Could have done so. At 88 years old, I would hope that your French pension would afford a dildo. That might also be the insert, the first line of
that's the first song.
At 88 years old, I hope your French pension could afford you a dildo. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us here the last show of the year. Again, we're not going to be here next week. We're going to be letting everybody have the day off and just kind of enjoy the holiday weekends. So with that, this being the last show of the year, we absolutely cannot express how grateful we are to the good times that and the relationships, the community that has developed here. I'm always proud and happy to rock the Shiesty. I'm always proud and happy to be counted among the members of the Thunderdome. And I think I know you feel the same way.
Indeed. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your year, and we'll see you 2020
from the USS Rapapa.